A young man stands at his mother's funeral, facing down his abusive father for the last time. This moment would shape the rest of his life, setting him on a path to become one of rock's most iconic figures. That man was Marvin Lee Aday, better known as Meatloaf. His journey from that funeral to global stardom is filled with more drama than even his theatrical performances could capture. Ready to discover the real story behind the monster of rock? From Marvin to Meatloaf, a rocky childhood. "I'd rather be dead than cool," Meatloaf once said. But how did a boy named Marvin become the larger-than-life rocker we know today? Marvin Lee Aday was born in Dallas, Texas on September 27, 1947. His childhood wasn't easy. His father, Orvis Wesley Aday, was a police officer with a drinking problem. Their home often turned into a battleground because of his dad's unpredictable behavior. To cope, young Marvin threw himself into school theater and sports. On stage, he could be someone else, turning his feelings into characters and stories. This early taste of performing set the stage for his future. On the football field, he found a way to prove himself physically. By 7th grade, Meatloaf already weighed over 240 pounds, making him a target for bullying. Later, he even intentionally gained 60 pounds to avoid the Vietnam War draft. Though he still got a draft notice, which he chose to ignore. These weren't just hobbies for Marvin, they helped him survive by turning his pain into something positive. You can see how this shaped his emotional performances and big stage presence later in life. As Marvin got older, things at home got worse. He still managed to graduate from Thomas Jefferson High School in 1965. 2 years later, his mom died after fighting cancer for a long time. At her funeral, 20-year-old Marvin had his last run-in with his dad. We don't know exactly what happened, but it changed everything for him. With nothing keeping him in Dallas anymore, Marvin decided to start fresh. He packed up and headed to Los Angeles with only $20 and big dreams. He was leaving behind his troubled past, and even his name, Marvin Aday. He was ready to become someone new in LA. As he got on the bus to California, Marvin had no idea what was coming. Hollywood's bright lights promised a new beginning and endless chances. But the city had its own ideas for this ambitious guy from Texas. The birth of a monster, Meatloaf, emerges. Marvin Aday came to Los Angeles with $20 and a dream. He left as Meatloaf, a theatrical powerhouse with a new name and the start of a legendary career. His journey from struggling Texan to rock star involved a nickname, a hit musical, and an unexpected path to fame. In his early LA days, Marvin worked odd jobs while chasing his music dreams. He formed bands and opened for big names like Van Morrison's Them and The Who. Imagine going from $20 in your pocket to sharing stages with rock legends. Despite tough competition and money troubles, Marvin kept pushing forward. Along the way, the name Meatloaf stuck. No one's quite sure where it came from, but as it grew, Marvin Aday faded and Meatloaf took center stage. Everything changed when Meatloaf got a part in the LA production of Hair. This show mixed rock and theater, perfect for his talents. He developed his big, bold stage presence here, setting the tone for his whole career. As word spread about Meatloaf, he landed another key role, Eddie in the Rocky Horror Show. This wild, over-the-top musical became a hit, leading to the Rocky Horror Picture Show movie. Meatloaf's Hot Patootie, Bless My Soul, became one of the film's standout moments. The movie's cult following put Meatloaf on the map. He'd found his sweet spot, wowing audiences with his powerful voice and stage presence. His raw emotion and larger-than-life personality made him stand out from other performers. While Rocky Horror was a big break, Meatloaf's biggest role was still to come. He was ready to take on the music world his way, with his own unique sound and style. A game-changing partnership was just around the corner, one that would turn this cult favorite into a global star. Out of the frying pan, the making of Bat Out of Hell. What happens when you combine rock opera, teen angst, and a larger-than-life personality? You get an album that every major label said wouldn't sell, but Meatloaf and his collaborator had a vision that would change rock history. The big question was, could they make it happen? Jim Steinman, a songwriter with a love for drama, met Meatloaf in the early 1970s. They clicked right away, bonding over their passion for theatrical rock music. Together, they started working on Bat Out of Hell, a bold mix of rock, opera, and raw emotions. They faced a lot of rejection. Record labels just didn't get it. Executives couldn't figure out how to sell something so different. But Meatloaf and Steinman didn't give up. Their lucky break came when producer Todd Rundgren got involved, thinking they already had a record deal. The recording was intense. The team worked crazy hours to capture the album's big, dramatic sound, using layers of instruments and complex arrangements to bring Steinman's songs to life. When Bat Out of Hell came out in 1977, people didn't know what to make of it. Critics were split, and it only reached number 14 on the Billboard 200. But then something weird happened. The album started to catch on, spreading by word of mouth and through Meatloaf's electric live shows. While critics compared Bat Out of Hell to Springsteen's Born to Run, Jim Steinman saw their work differently. Where Springsteen was realistic and street-oriented, Steinman and Meatloaf created something mythic and fantastic. They weren't trying to be authentic. They were building their own larger-than-life world. Slowly but surely, Bat Out of Hell went from oddball to sensation. It climbed the charts, smashed records, and became a cultural icon. With over 43 million copies sold worldwide, it became one of the top 5 highest-selling albums of all time, alongside iconic albums like Michael Jackson's Thriller and AC/DC's Back in Black. The things that made it hard to sell at first, its uniqueness, drama, and emotional power, turned out to be why people loved it. The album's success turned Meatloaf into a superstar overnight. But with fame came pressure. Everyone was watching, wondering what he'd do next. Could Meatloaf handle being famous and live up to the hype of his breakthrough album? Paradise Lost, the fall of a rock god. Imagine climbing to the top of a mountain only to find yourself on the edge of a cliff. For Meatloaf, superstardom came with a price he never saw coming. What happens when a rock star loses his greatest asset? The non-stop touring wrecked Meatloaf's voice. By 1979, he couldn't sing anymore, putting his career in jeopardy. What made this crisis even stranger was that doctors couldn't find any physical damage to his vocal cords. It wasn't a medical condition. It was his body literally rebelling against the pressure of fame. Without a clear physical problem to treat, recovery became even more challenging. To cope with this mysterious affliction, he turned to alcohol and cocaine. His behavior got out of control and his relationship suffered. Making things worse, Meatloaf's partnership with Jim Steinman, the mastermind behind Bat Out of Hell, started to crumble. Steinman felt snubbed when his name was left off the album credits at first, creating bad blood between them. With Meatloaf unable to record, Steinman put out his own album, Bad for Good, in 1981. It flopped, showing how crucial their teamwork had been. Meanwhile, Meatloaf's next albums bombed too. As his career tanked, money problems piled up. In 1983, Meatloaf went bankrupt, facing a mountain of lawsuits worth $80 million. Many of these were fights with Steinman over song rights. Meatloaf lost his house and the rights to his music. On top of that, Meatloaf said Sony wasn't paying him millions in royalties from Bat Out of Hell. To make ends meet, he had to keep touring, even though his voice was shot. By the mid-80s, Meatloaf had hit rock bottom. The guy who once packed stadiums could barely fill small clubs. His voice was unreliable, and the music world saw him as a has-been. The rock god had fallen. But Meatloaf wasn't done yet. Despite everything, the fire that drove him from his rough childhood in Texas to rock stardom was still there. The stage was set for one of the most unlikely comebacks ever. Resurrection, the comeback kid of rock. Just when the world thought Meatloaf's story was over, he was about to write its most dramatic chapter yet. How does a bankrupt, voiceless has-been transform back into a rock phenomenon? The answer involves an old friend, a bat, and a love song that would conquer the globe. After years in the wilderness, Meatloaf was determined to rebuild his career. He spent the late 1980s taking small acting roles and performing at smaller venues, slowly regaining his confidence and vocal strength. The real turning point came in 1989 when he patched things up with his old collaborator Jim Steinman. Despite their past problems, the two managed to work through their issues and find their creative spark again. As they started work on Bat Out of Hell 2, Back into Hell, the music industry was skeptical. Many thought Meatloaf's time had passed, wondering who'd want a sequel to an album from 16 years ago. But Meatloaf and Steinman were driven by their shared vision and a desire to prove everyone wrong. The comeback wasn't just about the music. It was about visuals too. Meatloaf dominated MTV with cinematic videos directed by Michael Bay. I'd Do Anything for Love became one of MTV's top 100 videos of 1993, its gothic operatic style perfectly matching Meatloaf's theatrical persona. The video's cinematic quality helped introduce Meatloaf to a new generation, proving he could adapt to changing times while staying true to his dramatic style. The recording was tough. Meatloaf, now in his mid-40s, pushed himself hard to capture the emotion and power of his earlier work. He wasn't the same young performer from the 70s, but a man who'd been through a lot. All of that experience came through in his singing. On September 14, 1993, Bat Out of Hell 2, Back into Hell, hit the shelves and took off. The album went straight to #1 in several countries, with critics loving its bold rock sound and Meatloaf's passionate performances. The main single, I'd Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That, became huge worldwide, topping charts in 28 countries and winning Meatloaf his first Grammy. As the album took off, so did Meatloaf's comeback tour. He went from playing small clubs to packing arenas again. His big theatrical shows were back and better than ever. In the end, Bat Out of Hell 2 sold over 14 million copies worldwide, making it one of the most successful comeback albums in rock history and putting Meatloaf firmly back on top of the rock world. Meatloaf had beaten the odds and made an incredible comeback. But as he enjoyed his success, a new question came up. Could he stay on top in a quickly changing music world? The next part of Meatloaf's career would test his toughness once again. The final act, Meatloaf's later years and legacy. As Meatloaf stood triumphant on stage, few could have guessed the struggles that lay ahead. What does it take for a rock icon to keep performing when every show could be his last? Despite his comeback, Meatloaf's later years were a constant battle between his love for performing and his failing health. Despite undergoing 4 back surgeries and struggling with chronic pain, Meatloaf refused to give up performing. Even with asthma that had caused him to collapse on stage multiple times, he kept pushing forward. The toll of performing had left him with 13 screws and metal plates in his back. Still, Meatloaf kept creating. He worked again with his old partner Jim Steinman, releasing his final album Braver Than We Are in 2016. Even in his 70s, he was planning new music, including an album with a few new tracks and a long-awaited Steinman song. Meatloaf left a big mark on rock music and pop culture. His powerful voice and theatrical shows inspired many artists and changed the industry. He showed that rock could tell epic stories while still hitting you right in the feels. When Meatloaf died on January 20, 2022, the music world was shocked. Tributes poured in from fans and fellow musicians like Bonnie Tyler, Cher, and Brian May. The Queen's Guard even performed I'd Do Anything for Love, showing how his music touched people everywhere. Looking back, fans remembered a man who overcame a tough childhood to become a star, bounced back from career lows, and always stayed true to his larger-than-life vision of rock. The monster of rock may have taken his final bow, but his music lives on. As new fans discover his songs, it's clear Meatloaf's impact will last for years to come. Meatloaf's career stands as a testament to the power of persistence and showmanship in rock music. From his humble beginnings to global stardom, he never stopped pushing boundaries. With over 100 million records sold worldwide, his larger-than-life persona challenged our expectations of what a rock star could be, blending theatricality with raw emotion in a way few others have matched.